Hi guys, you're here with me, Chris.
And me, Jake.
Me, Ben.
Me, Mance.
Now, you guys have been playing on Battlefield Hardline.
Damn right we have.
We
The beta for that.
Yeah. Released right in the thick of E3 this year.
Couldn't have been any more thicker
No, it couldn't have been.
than the pot of cream you come out of.
No, I'm sure it couldn't.
And it was quite a pleasant surprise as well.
Good.
What did you get a code? Did you though?
No!
Ooh. In the end, you did.
I applied 4 times for a code. I asked a friend at work to apply. Within 5 minutes of him applying, you got a code. And text saying, "Look at this, what I've got." I'm like,
Ooh. Burned.
scum.
Burned.
But
Have you not given EA enough money?
no, I just need to be more content and boosts.
Okay.
Free
There is
to.
not enough money in your wallet.
So
my
I'm really
friend.
sorry. Really sorry you failed to apply for a beta code this time. Perhaps you'd like this map.
Buy £20.
Mr. Mance.
Perhaps I will.
Anyway, what did you think?
Mint. Wow. Wow. Are you gonna buy it?
Me personally,
On launch?
probably not.
Well,
Maybe eventually. I don't think it's a launch title for me.
it's not pre-orderable in my.
Purely because I think that it seems too much like a reskin version of Battlefield 4. Not that that's a bad thing in any way, because at its core, Battlefield 4 is an awesome game. You know, it's had its troubles. Yeah,
It's putting it
Oh,
mildly.
Wow.
Wasn't it unplayable at launch, pretty much?
some say.
Someone say those people not able to play it would probably say it was unplayable.
Still sitting there on loading.
But then some say it's still unplayable today. So,
Yeah.
but they're just whiny little bitches. But that's beside the point. Yeah, Hardline it's pretty good. It's new twists on the Battlefield series. It's the first time that it's not been in the theatre of war. You know, whatever the fictional war is that they've created. The war is on the streets against the Crims.
They're taking the theatre to the streets.
Yeah, boy. Yeah. It's cops versus robbers.
Good.
16 cops versus 16 robbers, a 1-to-1 cop to
Ratio.
criminal ratio.
Yeah,
Yes.
that sounds, you know, they're pretty confident in themselves, aren't they?
Yeah, it's almost like
No SWAT teams,
presumably you are the SWAT team.
no overwhelming force, just one-on-one.
You're not like
Mano.
the character models so far aren't like that donut wielding beat cops. You know, you are
The
SWAT.
elite.
Okay.
SWAT, as in SWAT run by Samuel L. Jackson in the movie,
Yeah.
with, you know,
Colin
Colin
Farrell.
SWAT-esque Colin
criminals.
Farrell and bells and whistles and
Yeah.
choppers and death.
If Ben's there, who needs SWAT?
Well, that's it. You know, you've got everything you need right here.
G-Unit.
So yeah, there's a couple of game modes in the beta. One map. The more interesting of the 2 game modes is called Blood Money, where you kind of both teams are fighting for effectively one capture point, which is just a big sort of pile of cash in
I thought it was a
in the middle of the map.
A really strange twist on King of the Hill Capture the Flaggy joint
Yeah,
thing.
it's a bit of a mix between if we look at it in terms of Battlefield's traditional modes, between Conquest and
Rush, is it?
Rush. Yeah, because you've got to rush. Both teams have got to rush to the objective and try and hold it as long as they can with as many people as they can, so they can take as much cash as they can, and then accumulate enough to win the round. Quite why the cops have to sort of collect cash and stash it themselves.
Why do the
I
cops
don't know. Maybe it's unpaid taxes.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes.
There's got to be some kind of subtle backlog to that whole
A bank
story.
has exploded. Everybody needs to collect
for
all the
all.
cash before. It's an odd thing.
It's a strange concept.
I mean, it sounds like a fun game, but it doesn't
Yeah.
sound. It doesn't sound like it's kind of within the. Yeah, I think that was kind of my misgivings from what little I've kind of seen of Battlefield Hardline.
Yeah.
Is that it's a theme. It's like a skin on
Yeah.
top of Battlefield. Like they're not actually kind of running with it. Like, you know, as in if it was a realistic cops versus robbers thing, then there would be sort of 4 criminals trying to hold out. I don't know. hold a bank against a SWAT team of 50 people.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something like that. And games like, I don't know, Evolve and things like that have shown that potentially you can have uneven
uneven numbers,
and it
it's still a fun game.
So maybe that would have been a little bit bolder.
Well, that could have perhaps been the advancement that the series had needed, rather than sort of stepping sideways. But then, in my opinion, it shouldn't have had Battlefield named in the title at all. That is purely because Visceral Games have obviously been tasked by EA to use the engine that DICE have created to come up with a new shooter title that they can use as a sort of new tentpole title for themselves, obviously to sort of battle Activision with their yearly COD installments. And I think because of the similarities, they've had to call it Battlefield. But it would have been nice to have seen something different. They could have used the engine a bit more subtly than they have up to this point, and done something like you say. Made it more squad based. Real teamwork is required. Uneven numbers of teams, but distinct advantages for the robbers who've got to try and hold the bank or get away with the money. There's all kinds of ideas probably we're throwing around, but
it doesn't seem like.
It doesn't seem a good Battlefield.
No.
It seems a very good game.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like a great idea, but probably not one that should have been done with Battlefield.
Called it Battlefield.
It looks like it's got the same amount of craziness and exploding buildings and zip lines that.
Yeah, they've tried to retain a lot of the chaotic elements that you get with Battlefield traditionally. There's not obviously like tanks and like heavily armoured attack choppers or attack jets, which obviously don't fit into that sort of sphere of
market robbers these days.
They want to try and portray. There was vehicles as some sort of heavily armoured SWAT van or military van that the robbers use. But it's the map's a smaller scale, tighter because it's sort of indoors, alleyways, streets, and it's not necessarily wide open like oil plains and things where you're going to have a lot more space to play with, so you're forced together. So you've got that chaos, and they brought Levolution back as well. In the particular map that they show, it's a crane that sort of falls down and destroys a bridge and other parts of the level, so it changes access points and choke points and things. So they're still working on the basis of what made Battlefield 4 fun and interesting and different, and applying it to a different setting, a different theme. And there's a lot of interest for it. I think the way that they introduced it with a beta straight off the bat was pretty awesome. It's the first time I've ever known anything like that come out of E3 in my lifetime. Anyway.
When I
have lived a long time.
When I was a child, I dreamed of betas being released at E3, annual updates to established series.
I don't think it's ever going
to be.
It's never going to trump that time that I don't know if it was an E3, but it was years ago when Sega. It was some kind of video games conference, and Sega announced what was it? Was it the Sega Saturn? I don't know what it was. It was a console that was coming out. They announced the console at the thing, and then they said at the end, "Oh, and by the way, you can go and buy it right now," because they'd secretly shipped it out to all the retailers and things.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you could have get that these days.
While we were distracting you.
Don't talk about the Sega Saturn, because I've got sore memories from owning one of those.
Yeah, it can almost do 3D.
Imagine
It
Sony done
can't
that.
do 3D.
No,
PlayStation 4.
faux 3D.
You can't do that in this day and age. Not with the internet.
Well, the Xbox One comes out now.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
It wouldn't work. There'd be a leak somewhere.
I can imagine that if they did that with Battlefield Hardline. Oh, by the way, it's out tomorrow.
Yeah.
No one would have bought the game apart from
like
5 hardcore Battlefield fans.
I think in today's age you can do that now. You could just say and I'm just going to press the big digital release button.
I suppose, with digi releases,
They could have done it, but I don't know.
Slap the price up to double just because you'll buy it anyway.
Maybe.
Because you'll buy it, not everybody else.
I've never bought a digital release from a console yet.
Yeah.
I would rather walk to the shop and save £20 on any game.
To be the only walking I'll do.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Damn right.
And to be fair, you want. I don't know if it's just me, but that physical ownership as well. I value that these days still.
I like the physical copies.
But
Yeah.
Anyway.
We got off topic.
Yeah.
It's a little bit.
Off on a tangent, but back to Hardline. Yeah, it's really fun.
Is it like a leap forward or a change for the series, or is it just a gimmick? Is it them running out of ideas? Maybe.
I think it's not a step forward; it's a step sideways. If anything, it's the same established series, established game engine.
There's nothing new to it. Just
Well, for me, it seemed more like they needed to release a title to keep up with the games that were coming out.
Yeah.
And rather than innovate and go for the next expansion to the universe, you're sort of right. We've got this idea. Let's run with it as a whole game rather than just an expansion or a map pack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that within the realms of Battlefield 4, they probably could have said, "Oh, by the way, once premium content finishes, there's this new expansion pack which will build upon the engine, but it's a completely different sort of game."
Yeah.
Which arguably they could have done, but I think they want to try and establish another IP attached to Battlefield within the Battlefield universe, but not how you traditionally perceive that as wartime or
like they did with
in the theatre of war.
1942, it was just a standalone 5 or 6 map, tiny thing. If they'd done that with Hardline, small little game, while they were carrying on with a new, fresh idea, I wouldn't mind paying.
They could have actually done that, and they wouldn't have had to put the effort in to make a campaign, and they probably could have released it as like digital only for a reasonable price.
Yeah.
And there would have been a lot of people who were fans of Battlefield 4 and previous series who would have said, right, well, this is the next step in the online Battlefield, so let's play it just for the sake of owning it and playing it, not even because they wanted to get.
Because people are going to buy it anyway,
exactly.
right? As in,
it's going to have a big following. I don't honestly believe that they're going to see the amount of sales that they saw for Battlefield 4. I think, although EA and DICE really want to say Battlefield 4 and how that released hasn't affected the brand, it definitely has.
Do you think people have lost the faith?
I think a little bit, yeah. I mean, having an early beta, and I'm pretty sure they'll have another beta before the release, will secure a little bit of extra goodwill.
So it's kind of a marketing ploy in some ways. Trying to build up excitement for it.
But is it going to actually affect the quality of the game?
I don't know. Because I just kind of got this image in my head of, like Battlefield 4 as a launch was somewhat of a disaster.
Yeah, it really
and I can just imagine sort of EA exec kind of running through the office, running through the dev office, just going like, "Has anyone got any ideas? Any ideas at all? Anything new? Anything else? Cops and robbers? Good. Like a full game out of it."
It was always like it must have been the first thing.
Yeah, it's like I was going to make 3 maps. It's like, no, we're going to make an entire new Battlefield game on that idea. It's going to be amazing and different. And
me personally, I wanted a sequel to Battlefield 2142, which was the futuristic series that was sort of the stand-in between Battlefield 2 and, well, I suppose Bad Company actually, but it was the stand-in game. It was awesome online. It had everything that was good about Battlefield 2, but then it was better. The sci-fi elements were really good. They didn't faff around with a campaign mode because there wasn't one in Battlefield 2 either. It was just online. There's a training mode and then there was online mode. That's all people wanted from it.
Yeah, because you can make
did it well.
If you make it as a small project, you can make it really tight. So you can like you say just have like a few maps, just have a training mode, and put all your effort into creating like new weapons and interesting futuristic stuff. Like Far Cry 3, once that got released, they released an expansion pack called Blood Dragon, which was absolutely awesome and kind of clearly looked like a labour of love. Like the developers just spent years making this bloody game. Now we're going to use these tools.
Crazy
like
neon action 80s movie.
Exactly. And and it's going to be a few hours long, but that's all we want from it. And it's not going to be a full. It's not going to be a full.
And that's all they needed, and it was.
Yes.
Epic.
Whereas I don't know, like when I hear about Battlefield Hardline, is that it's kind of it's an idea that's been stretched a bit too far. Maybe I can see the beta's really interesting, really exciting, but I can't quite see how that's going to be a full game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the campaign's going to pan out. I was
just about to say, is there a sort of campaign, a single player?
What can they do there with cops and robbers?
I mean, they can create some kind of dramatic storyline.
Ask the guys at Gran Turismo, Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, yes, Gran Turismo.
Yeah, those guys.
You're going to see Trev with his He's
Yeah.
farming Battlefield.
To be fair, those are some of the best bits out of GTA 5 was some sort of bank heists.
Yeah,
So,
and there wasn't enough in my opinion in that
Yeah.
game, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe Battlefield Hardline will do what GTA failed to do, and you'll just have
Plenty of ice.
10 missions
Yeah.
full of heisting.
yeah, full of heisting.
Bit of campaign.
Yes.
You know, the campaign, half of it is you are the cops stopping
Yeah,
robbers and then flip it over, then
Yeah.
you've got to try and
I imagine
heist
it.
the banks.
I
You're a
imagine
good
it
cop
will probably
gone
do
bad.
something. It could be. It could be.
You went deep undercover.
It's
Mid
it could
mid-story
be
switch
point.
around.
It could be Point Break. You know,
It
who
could be.
knows? You know.
Awesome.
This is what we could be looking
But
at.
we don't know because it's a really early beta, and I guess we
Yeah,
shouldn't
and
judge.
they've shown. I think they've released maybe 2 trailers for it overall. One of them was just like a little sizzle reel of bits from what I presume is the campaign, and then from multiplayer, and then I think it's just a pure multiplayer trailer.
Mm.
You get nothing from that. There's no idea really of what to expect, and
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily disappointing for those who are hardcore Battlefield fans who are going to buy it because it's the next Battlefield game. But some people are going to want more, especially with how disappointed
Yeah.
they were. I mean, I was at first with Battlefield 4, which is why my current stance is not going to buy it, not at launch anyway, and then see how things go.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
When you've got games such as Destiny coming out in September, which is just a month before, you've got other big hitters for people who are interested in seeing games. Call of Duty, you know, not for me, but for millions of other people who buy it every single year without fail.
Mhm.
There's the re-release of GTA 5, which is going to sell millions all over again.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think the Battlefield Hardline is going to do enough.
Maybe not.
For sure.
Wow. That's as good a point as any to wrap this one up.
Sorry, EA.
Screw you,
I'm sure they'll. I'm
Go
sure they'll
elsewhere.
sleep fine
Yeah.
on their big pile of money.
On their big bed of money.
That big bed made of hardline copies.
But yeah, thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Thanks.